So I have now lived in vehicles for 4 years. In fact, it's just over 4 years. 4 years and about 3 months. And I want to talk quickly about what it's like and is it worth it? Is it really worth living in a van this day and age? Well, first of all, my van life journey started, like a lot of people's, with a camper van that I used to go out in weekends. Used to go out in at weekends, and every opportunity, school holidays and things like that, I would be out in a camper van. And sometimes even when I was parked on the drive at home, I would be sat in the camper van watching TV or cooking, even making a cup of tea in a camper van. Top tip: making a cup of tea in a camper van is way better than making a cup of tea in the house. And obviously coffee is way better than that, but that's a different story. So eventually that situation disappeared, and I ended up with the camper van and with nowhere to live. So I just thought, right, I'm going to live in this camper van. I mean, I could have afforded to get a place, a flat or an apartment or whatever, but I chose not to. I chose to keep that like 1,500 quid a month or whatever it would have been in my wallet, and that's the best decision I ever made. It was meant to be a few weeks, and then it turned into a few months, and now obviously it's been over 4 years. And one of the things that I have noticed the most beneficial is money. And there have been times during my van life journey that I have been skint and on my arse and not having a pot to piss in, or £2 to rub together, or whatever else you want to say or want to call it. But for the most part, it's allowed me to save, but also it's allowed me to work less, which is one of the better things. So when I first moved into the van, I worked part-time, and that was brilliant because I worked 3 days a week, so I had 4 days a week to piss off into the hills and just enjoy life and enjoy being with myself and, you know, having fun and all that kind of stuff, which is something that I'd never really experienced before because of the stress of running a house. It was just unreal. I quickly then started to work full-time again, which knocked the edge off the van life situation. And at that time I was living in my van outside work, parking outside work during the day, and then going to find somewhere to stay, and then coming back the next day and using the work's Wi-Fi from outside and all that kind of business. But that taught me resilience, and it taught me how to be thrifty with things, and it taught me little scams like parking outside a business address to use their Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. It taught me all those things, and this was before like I knew what van life was, before I knew what van life on Instagram was, and YouTube and all that. So I never watched van life YouTubers. The only things I ever watched back in when I had a camper van was how to fix this on a T5, or I used to watch things about boats because I was well into boats. Which leads me on to the fact that I bought a boat briefly, lived on it for about 6 months between the van and the boat, and I ended up selling the boat because you still have mooring fees and insurance and all those extra things, electricity and all those extra things to pay for. So then you might as well just live in a house if you're going to do that. I was living in a small tiny boat for house money, so I ended up selling the boat and living full-time in the van. I bought a bigger van so I could stand up in it and all that kind of thing, which then became my home for about 2.5 years, until the engine kind of broke a little bit, and then ended up buying another van which was even bigger, a longer van that I could stand up in. And I never really got on with that van. Never I got the feel for that van. It just wasn't me. It was a white van. I basically built a king-size bed in it and then forgot about everything else. So it was just a mobile bed. A mobile bed has its benefits, I'm not going to lie. It isn't too bad to have a big, massive, comfy bed, mobile. Lots of people benefited from that. And then this Land Rover came up for sale. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is a Land Rover Defender. You'll see, Land Rover Defender, very basic interior. But in the back there is my home. Now, it is a mess, I admit, it is a mess. But that is the back of my Land Rover Defender. I know some of you are going to be thinking, that's unbelievable, I can't believe that's in the back of a Land Rover Defender. It is in the back of a Land Rover Defender. And that has been my dream, to have a Land Rover camper van. So way before vans, way before van life, way before that, I had Land Rovers quite often. and I used to make them so that you could sleep in the back and have, you know, my kettle and stuff in there. And I used to go on day trips and stuff, and, you know, have a barbecue and that kind of stuff, and even staying it overnight a couple of times. But when this came up for sale, I was blown away by it and was like, I need to own that thing, but I couldn't afford it. So I left it a few weeks, and then I messaged the seller, and I was like, I need this. I need this in my life. So I was trying to persuade the seller to sell it dead cheap, as you do. And there's no you know, no shame in trying to get something cheaper. And I sent a link to my YouTube channel to the seller and said, this is what I do. This is what I want to do with it. I'm going to look after it. And he was like, oh, I subscribe to you. And I was like, yes! Thank God for that. So then we agreed a price, which was much cheaper than they'd listed it for. So thank you very much for that. And I know he still subscribes because I speak to him regularly. And then I moved into it straight away. As soon as it arrived in Sheffield, I moved into it. I bought a mattress, and that was it. So it was a bit of a building site at times, but then here we are. So anyway, back to why van life is brilliant. So the freedom thing is a cliche, but the freedom thing is the thing that you overlook the most. Being able to just drive wherever you want and have all your stuff in one place is bloody brilliant. If you're stuck in traffic, like, let's just say the motorway is closed and you're stuck in traffic, just getting back and have a nap, or getting back and make a cuppa, all that kind of stuff is brilliant. The fact that I have coffee wherever I go is brilliant. And again, I just mentioned coffee and bed because they're the main things, aren't they? You can just have a nap anytime. If I'm tired now, I can just go back and have a nap. And I think that's brilliant. But the financial freedom is the bit that is most important. Now, it does allow you to work less if you choose to, but if you work just as much, you will have a few quid in your pocket because you save so much. I think I calculated it at about £900 a month saving. And I'd rather that £900 be in my bank than anybody else's bank. So that was the thing. Now, you can live van life without working on a shoestring. But for me, I like to just have a bit of money in the bank ready for if anything happens, and, you know, preparing for that. I've been in positions where I've not prepared for it before, and it ended up stinging me in the ass. But a bit of money in the bank, and you can live for a long period of time in your van. I'm blessed right now that the YouTube thing happened by accident. I wasn't meant to be a YouTuber, but then it ended up happening, which still blows my mind to this day, and I think it still blows my children's mind to this day that Daddy is a YouTuber. But here I am, doing the YouTube thing, and the benefits of that have been that I can have a kitted out van, so I've now got a massive lithium battery bank, all the Victron gear, and I am no longer using gas, so all my electricity now is free, which is a huge benefit, because now I don't have to pay gas bills, I don't have to pay water bills, don't have to pay TV licence, don't have to pay council tax, don't have to pay rent. There's probably some of the bills. My biggest bills, by the way, are phone bill and fuel, because I'm moving around a lot and I've got a big phone contract. Oh, I also have separate internet for the van as well, which is expensive. But other than that, that's not far off it. Apart from my Uber Eats habit. Believe it or not, you can get Uber Eats delivered to your van, so don't worry about that one. That was something that when I first had that happen, I was amazed, I was blown away, couldn't believe that it had actually happened. But it's a thing, you can get Uber Eats and Just Eat delivered to your van. So anyway, once I knew that happened, I stopped cooking, and my savings went down quite a lot. So best things about living in a van: you get coffee wherever you want, you get bed wherever you want, and you might have a bit more money in your pocket if you're sensible. The fact that you can drive to a beach one day and to some mountains the next day, to, I don't know, Thailand. You could drive to Thailand. You can drive anywhere you want, pretty much in the world. Almost everywhere in the world. You can drive there, and that's all. All it costs is fuel, and you just sit there going like that. That's all it is. And this is why I didn't like boat life, because boats were so restrictive that I could only go certain places. But when you're in a van, you can go anywhere. And I hope that lots of you that already watch this channel can see a change in me as well. I know I have my ups and downs, don't get me wrong. Another saying that I have got: I'd rather be depressed in a van than depressed and skint in a house. That I should get that on a t-shirt, because that's one of my sayings, and that's true. I live by that. I would rather be in here and in a bad mood than in a house skint and in a bad mood. Whatever happens in your life is worse when you're in a van. That's not what I meant to say. It's worse when you're in a house and you have a load of bills to pay and you've got the, constant fucking stuff coming through the post saying you owe this, you owe that. Trying to upkeep a house and all that kind of thing. Tidying a van is much easier than tidying a house. When there's always a plug socket and a phone charger at arm's length in a van, it's amazing. You'd have to get out of bed to go turn a light off to walk across to the other side of a room. There ain't 10 light switches in one room like there is in houses. Van life is so much better. And the fact that you can pretty much make it how you want it without many skills, as you've probably seen on this channel, is amazing. So that pretty much is my 4-year van life update and top tips. Top tips on van life. I'm going to leave you to it now because I've got shit to do. And I'll see you on the next one. I love you both. Love you both. This ain't going well. I've not had near enough coffee this morning. And I've had a stressful week. I love you all. Not just you two. All of you. Equally. Apart from you two. I don't like you two there. But other than that, bye Felicia.